Welcome, car enthusiasts, to the SoCal Car Scene Podcast, the exclusive place for coverage of car culture in Southern California and the personalities that drive it. I'm your host, Dean Marash, and somewhere around here is my son, Big J Marash, who's making all kinds of magic happen as a technical director and producer of the show. Today, we're really amped up to have as our guest the president of the C10 Club, John Oro. This show is brought to you by SoCal Classic Car Storage and C-Tech Battery Chargers. Our very special guest today, John Oro, is the president of the C10 Club. He's credited with expanding the C10 Club from a small local group of half a dozen guys to a worldwide movement with C10 clubs in almost every state of the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. There's a huge C10 Club right here in California, as one in NorCal, with more than 4,000 members. Much of the influence of these C10s is from the SoCal car culture that's around us here in our facility. And they seem to be everywhere. Here in SoCal, you can't go one block without seeing a C10, it doesn't seem like. John's truck, his 1971 Chevy Blazer, dubbed the Prom Queen, will be in the Hot Rod Alley in the United Pacific Hall at SEMA in 2020. Hey, John, thanks for joining us on the SoCal Car Scene.
Thank you very much for having me.
So
I hate to start it off with a correction, but
well, please do.
The president is more of a term of endearment.
Okay.
The C10 Club started with just like you mentioned, just a half a dozen guys or so, and we'd meet up at park events, brothers shows, just you name it. And I happened to probably fall in that little cusp where I was a little bit younger than the gentleman that started it. And when they met me here in SoCal, these guys are from SunCal. I'm from Long Beach, California. And they said, hey, you should get a group of guys here and meet up with us together. So I did that.
Right on.
I went out and just started recruiting guys with other C10s, and little by little we started getting more. And when it started to take off in the beginning, getting inquiries about, hey, how do I join your guys' group or what have you? I went back to these gentlemen and said, hey, what do you think? These guys here, well, hey, you take it from here. They were smart enough to say, hey,
John, you're in charge.
Exactly it. So that's what it is.
Guy,
in our club, the motto is no rules, no dues, and there's no hierarchy. It's like
awesome.
It's like a round table, like a Knights of the Round Table. Everybody's got the same. And so when guys would ask me, or hey, well, who's the president of this, or who's the president of that chapter? It's one chapter, one club. If you're in Long Beach, hey, that's the guy president from Long. If you happen to live two guys in Long Beach, well, that's the guy on Main Street, south of Main Street. It's this guy. So that's a term of endearment, and I find myself in that situation. But it's
great
to feel that way.
But
Absolutely.
we can call you El Presidente.
Yeah,
right?
that title.
We don't salute, is what you're saying.
Absolutely, yes.
So it's a term of endearment. We love it. So tell us more about the C10 Club. That thing is huge. It's all over the world, as we mentioned earlier. But give us some insight into, what the objective is. Is it just an opportunity for people, like-minded people, to get together and share their vehicles and their families with something that they have in common?
I think so. That it had its roots in Central California, it was always lots of land, lots of area, and having pickup trucks. I think some of them, even though they had the love for rides around the time, hot rods or what have you, everyone had a truck back then.
Yep.
So little by little, they started to fix up their trucks and
pull them out of the fields.
What have you. And it was always a family-oriented thing. It wasn't really about going to shows for trophies or events. I mean, who's going to win an award with a long bed, C20?
Right.
It wasn't about that. So with our rules, our motto again is no rules, no dues. So you don't have mandated meetings. You don't have dues that are due. You don't have rules based upon what you have. You could have a truck that is fixed up to a T.
So that GMC truck I showed you, that'll fit in?
That's
not a problem?
Not a problem.
Okay, all right.
If you've got a long bed C30, it's not a problem. We have guys that have patina trucks that are slammed on the ground, and we'll have SEMA builds that proudly wear that.
Right.
That
might be a SEMA quality build.
Oh, absolutely.
So, well, one of the things that Jason and I were talking about earlier is we're seeing some really high-end builds now, big investments in C10s. We've had the fortune of having one of our friends, Sean Davis from Autotopia LA, who's got a huge YouTube page, and he's brought in at least 2 C10s that I can recall, and they're incredible builds. One's Week to Wicked with Jason. He's got a beautiful C10 blue one, and then we saw another white one a couple weeks ago. And these are not just beautiful, well done, well designed machine, but the technology that they're putting in these 1,000 horsepower.
Oh, absolutely.
Just incredible performance machines. So something has changed. Can you address what's going on there?
I think with us, it's a movement, and when guys, cool is cool. You can't take that away from anything. And you've got a truck and it's got the right stance and the right look, and you yourself like it, that's probably what people gravitated towards. You don't have to have a specific type of a car. A lot of them for us got priced out, I'm sure, and they just ended up fixing either their dad's old truck or what have you. But with that brought interest from the guys that could, turn these things into high dollar. And well, nowadays, with plug and play engines, what I'm saying, you get some Chevy Performance, or
drop in a 700 horsepower motor, no problem.
No problem, plug and play. Just give them your, your wheel diameter, give them what gear ratio you're running, and it's start from the beginning. But you'll also have guys that'll take, your mid 2000, Suburban, Tahoe, Silverado, and take that motor out and put it in you name it, 60 to 87 easy. It's for some of these guys, get their ducks in a row. I've seen it done in a weekend.
What's driving the truck thing? In the last 10 years, trucks have blown up. Not just C10s, but all trucks.
Yeah,
what is going on there? Did it go from being a utility vehicle to people saying, hey man, I can raise the bed, I can slam this thing, I can tub it? Something triggered this huge truck phenomena, and you see it at SEMA too.
Yeah, I believe last year and the year before that, it was a C10 takeover, we called it.
C10 takeover.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
It's the people. I mean, I have a friend of mine that does a podcast called C10 Talk, and one of the things that he goes by, one of his is it's the people. It's the C10s are cool, but the people are cooler. It's
I like that.
I think C10 truck guys, for the most part, they're very approachable. You can go up there and there's no competition between you and the guy that's asking you something, or you and it's like, hey, listen, it's got this drop, it's got this, I bagged it, this is the motor I put in it. Man, there's guys that they love to share the information. They'll give you part numbers, you know what I'm saying? So it's very easy. We don't seem to be in competition where, not knocking any other clubs are, because sometimes it is a competition for them if they're racing or what have you. But for the most part, we're not chasing, a certain thing. We're kind of doing something that we like for ourselves.
Just to share and
share
with
with
others.
Yeah.
We had that experience the other day. We had that GT40 from Superformance outside. The customer drives it up. I think it was a Saturday. And it's loud. I mean, it's very loud. Straight pipes. Big 427 Roush motor. And it just shakes the buildings. And next thing you know, here comes everybody. The mechanics from the repair shop next door.
It's in their blood.
Somebody's over here at the Jeep place, Rebel Off-Road, and the whole family comes over. And next thing you know, the kids are with the dad, and the kids are asking the owner, hey, would you mind if we sit in it? And he says, oh, sure, open the door. Yeah. The kids sit in it. And so that's what we like to see. That's what I love to see anyway. And Jason and I have talked a lot about that car people in general love to share the experience. And the more we can share the experience, for many people, maybe they don't have the funds or the resources, but they're still passionate about cars. And so that's what we like to see more and more. And it sounds like that's what the C10 Club's all about, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm very, very fortunate to be around during this time.
Hey, so what do you blame your C10 disease to, or your car addiction, depending on whichever way you take it? I know what my story is. It's really about growing up with cars. My dad always had way too many, and we were always working on the car. Every weekend there was 2 or 3 cars that needed repairs, and my dad kept dragging cars home, and we were those neighbors, So I think there's no hope for me, but everybody's got a story, right?
I think for me it was a thing of necessity. My dad always, had to work on his cars to keep him going. Yep. So not necessarily you could take it, so it turned out to be an older car,
Yep.
Growing up here in Long Beach, very influenced by the neighborhood I grew up with, lowrider cars and what have you. So that was
lowriders were a big influence.
That was my big influence in my young age, and loved them. And then didn't really do import stuff, just it wasn't around my stuff. Cruising Whittier Boulevard was very
So you
normal.
cruised, yeah.
I want to say I did like the second stage of it. I wasn't able to do it in the 70s, but in the 80s, definitely. Sure. And in that, I got to see a lot of I never got into mini trucks, but I did see them, and I did like them. I saw the Suzuki Samurais. So I saw a lot of that. But
the tuners and the Japanese.
Stuff, so.
Well, what's funny is I went to school at San Jose State in late 70s, early 80s, mm-hmm. and we moved out to East San Jose. And I wasn't exposed to the lowrider phenomena, but Story Road, when I was out there, I was like, what is going on? There were just a ton of lowriders, and the money they were throwing at their cars and the quality of the builds, and I was like blown away. And just shows you how far back this is. It's not, they've been hard at it for decades, for 50, 60 years, generations.
Generations, absolutely.
And they seem to, I think Leno had a little piece on them one day too. He went to one of the lowrider clubs. It seems like they put more money and more time in their builds than anybody.
Yeah.
So
they do.
That's probably
for them. I think it's a piece of art.
Art.
It is a piece of art. I'll see a guy and they'll engrave a molding on it, and I'm like, oh my God, the time that it took this.
Right. The time.
Just and
the love,
and
the passion.
and the love and the passion, and for some of them, it really works out with them. They get to express their artistry on their vehicle, and you'll have guys that will build one car or what have you, and that'll be their entire thing.
That's their life. Yeah, they just keep showing it off and building it and continuing to grow.
And then we're going right now through a time where it's back up.
It is.
People are cruising Whittier Boulevard again.
Are they?
Absolutely.
And they'll let you do it. So up in NorCal, I cruised Main Street in Walnut Creek, and they shut us down when I was in high school. I think my senior year, somewhere in there, about senior year, they shut it down. They won't let us do it anymore. Yeah. But they're letting guys cruise.
It's more of what I see now. It's more of like a flash mob now with social media.
Oh, okay. Just meet here. It's a meetup.
Yeah, it's a meetup. They go, but and then the how can I word this right? But the stigma of back in the day, there was a bunch of gang guys hanging out looking, and you're worried about that.
Right.
That's no more. Yeah. That's no more. There's these guys that have now put in their time, put that behind them, and they've got $100,000.
No, I know. Awesome.
Old 48 Fleetline or a 64 Impala that's made videos. There's no messing around no more. Everybody will stand up for each other.
Yeah.
There's no room for that, and it's beautiful to see because you'll see guys from everywhere travel in and bring their lowriders, and there's a mix of other cars too, but there's a lot of love, and they realize what it's about.
Yeah, it's awesome. So what was your first car, and did you have to do a lot of work to keep it on the road? I know my dad gave me my first car at 15 and a half, but he said, you got to go fix that engine. It's broken. That car's a mess. It's in the garage. Unload the boxes and go get yourself a junkyard motor. What's your first car story?
If I remember right, my first car, I had a 54 Chevy Bel Air. It's a 54 nice. Chevy Bel Air, 2-door, straight six. I don't know how long I kept it, but it was so much fun to drive. But I got access back then in our days. 9th grade was the last year of, we called it junior high. Now it's no middle school.
Sure.
And actually now that's freshman year.
Right.
So I had a cousin of mine that went on vacation for 18 months. Okay? He left me with a 1963 Impala Super Sport convertible.
No, he did not.
Oh my God. It was the best time. I've had some great best times in my life, and that was one of them. I'll say
bet.
That was a great time.
And he flipped
for
you
me.
the keys. You didn't have to steal the keys.
Oh no, we had no choice. It was either leave it with me, it was my cousin, or leave it to his dad. Was for sure probably going to get rid of it. So yeah, and it was great. I mean, I hate to see it go when I got, but by then, so.
Well, that must have made a big difference in you catching the car bug. There was no going back at that point.
It was, and that's probably the reason why now I am stuck with a full top Blazer. I tell the guys, well, why not a truck or why not a Suburban? For me, the Blazer and the topless Blazer, obviously the first and second generation there, the 69 through 72, and then again 73, 75 are the ones that are full removable top. Triple threat. You got a truck, you got a hot rod, and you got a convertible. I mean, so much. Once you take that top off, it's, there's no, there's nothing.
Nothing like it.
There's nothing like it.
So Jay is going to be stealing that design. He's got a 1994 Bronco removable top, right?
Oh, is that right?
Two-door. And he's had this idea of a Bronchero, he calls it.
Oh.
So basically, it's pretty much what you've got.
Right.
Slam it. Take that roof off, maybe modify it, because the Bronco's got a little bit of an angle on the the B pillars.
Right.
And so maybe modify that just a little bit. But I think the Prom Queen and the Bronchero might come together at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have to see.
And it's
Hopefully
fun.
Jason doesn't mind me sharing this idea because it's still on the design table.
All right. Yeah.
We'll see. But anyway, it's great. It's great to know that you had such early influences with these great cars like 409. I mean, incredible. Was it a 409?
It wasn't. That one was not a 409. Not on that 63. It'd been modified. It was lowrider. It wasn't hydraulics, but it was low to the ground, and it was more than I deserved at that time.
Living large.
Right? I went from no one eating at my lunch table to that was my lunch table. And it was a lot of fun.
You were the man.
Yeah, I was for a little while. Yeah,
I was a man too because I was the first one to drive. But today's podcast is brought to you by our great sponsor, C10. Are you looking for smarter ways to charge your car's battery? Our friends at C10 lead the way in the care and maintenance of vehicle batteries. C10's unparalleled knowledge and continuous improvement in innovation means they offer high-quality, reliable chargers that are effective, easy to use, and most importantly, safe for the user and their car's electric system. The quality of C10's products make them the trusted company of the world's most recognized car brands, including Audi, Bentley, BMW, Corvette, Ford, Ferrari, Maserati, Mercedes, Porsche, and numerous others. Get yours today at smartercharger.com. So John, tell us about your C10, the Prom Queen. Now, she's an incredible vehicle. First, we need to understand the name a little bit, and then you get us updated on what's her plan for the SEMA 2020 that's coming up, because I know she's got plans there.
Yeah, so it's funny the name Prom Queen kind of gave it to the truck because I think you're almost always your own worst critic. So I know all the faults, I know all the scratches, I know where the paint is, and it always get guys, oh, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. So I dubbed it the Prom Queen because she's good to look at, but deep down inside, she's got issues. You know what I'm saying? and that was my thing with that. But as far as for SEMA 2020, I was approached by my good friend Johnny G and the builder that's working on it now is Metalox Fab. It's in his shop in Peoria, Arizona. Kyle was working at the time on my Blazer and got a great opportunity to do a build for SEMA 2019. He came up to me and he's like, hey man, I've got this great opportunity, but I've got your truck. I said, listen, put mine on the back burner. Don't worry about it. I'm fortunate enough, I've got two sons. They both have trucks. One's got a GMC and then one's got a 71 Cheyenne. And so I'm able to tinker with those things, keeps me busy, and at the same time I can drive them anytime. So that's what I've been hitting the scenes with. And and we put the Prom Queen on the back burner
Right.
so that Kyle could do this build, Metallox Fab. So now what that did is he's back on this after SEMA 2019. He's working to finishing my truck up. Well, they get another opportunity for another SEMA build, and they're going around looking to what they're going to do, and lo and behold, they turn around and say, well, what about this one? That's ready to go.
She was looking like a queen, right?
Yeah. So let's do the Prom Queen. So they approached me and said, what do you think? And I'm like, you're like, again, you're always your own worst critic. So I'm like, I don't think it's SEMA worthy or what have you. But they're like, hey, man, we're going to make it happen. So, I took the trust of Kyle, Metallox Fab, Johnny G, Johnny's Garage, my good friend Ronnie Wetch, host of C10 Talk. I got talked into it, but, we're on the right path. I got the right team together with these guys. With that, it'll be at the United Pacific booth in Center in Hot Rod Alley. You can't get a better spot than that. So,
well, we can't wait to see it, man. We're going to be seeing you there if all goes to plan. Jay and I are going to be hanging out with our good friends at Factory 5 Racing. We've been invited to do some live streaming there in their booth, do some podcasting. So we'll be coming by and checking out the Prom Queen.
Oh, please.
We plan on getting really close to her and try to find her
come
awards.
on out. We do a promotion event. We call it C10 Nation Day.
Okay.
Again, United Pacific has been on board with this since last year. And we'll bring out the entire C10 community. We'll bring them out and to get the numbers up going. So it's really good for everyone. And along with that, of course, I've got Provost Motorsports that's going to help me out.
Nice.
They got JL Audio on board with some sound. So, I've got a friend of mine that does these social media that him and a couple other guys have dubbed all these Blazers boxes. If you've got a Blazer, whether it's a full top, half top, Tahoe, he calls them boxes.
Box.
They all get a different name. So this one will be Black Box. This one will be this one. So I'm hoping by the end of SEMA 2020, mine will get dubbed with the help of J Audio's Boombox.
Boombox. Okay.
So maybe the Prom Queen will have to change its
She's
name
got a
up.
new name.
Yeah, she may will with the help of Provost Motorsports.
She wants a new reputation, probably. She's tired of being.
Yeah, exactly. It's
tired of being the queen,
it's time,
right?
Yeah, take her back to the '80s with some new modern sound
Yeah,
system.
right. Upgrade her.
Get rid of my paper speakers.
Yeah, the ones that are blown. They didn't last more than 3 months anyway. Every time you got a new amp, you blew them. So, hey, tell us a little bit about these clubs in Europe and in other countries. One of the things that we learned when we talked to Klaus, that's the CEO of the Mustang Owners Club, is that it's a lot more difficult in these foreign countries to modify vehicles and get them approved. And he was telling us in Germany, every other year, you've got to go through this, pretty significant inspection. Keep your car on the road, and you got to watch your noise levels. And
wow.
So it seems like in other countries, people go through a lot to do what we do, and we make the assumption that it's just that easy. But how easy is it in these other countries to roll in C10s and stuff? No problem, or is it challenging?
I'm sure there's challenges for everyone. Obviously, me being from SoCal, for us, we get around certain things like the smog. We buy pre-75.
Yeah.
For any modifications that we do, we look at what we're going to run into. I know some of the guys will actually buy mid-80s C10s that are originally diesels. You can LS swap them all day long and never have to worry about a smog. As well as, I believe, Chevy Performance, you can set them down to new laws. You're not going to affect these by running them emission compliant. No. You can get an older vehicle and make it compliant to smog laws, and nobody's got more stringent laws than California. So we're usually ahead of curve when it comes to that.
But you can help folks overseas just like you're helping folks locally, right? Through
Absolutely.
Your
and
chat
for
rooms.
them, they may fall into certain criteria. Our trucks are 40, 50 years old, so they might fall under a certain criteria where after so many years they just get grandfathered in.
Good. I think the El Presidente should take a trip to Europe and go see his C10 Club in the UK and
Yeah, I know it would be my pleasure.
press the flesh. You should
Yeah,
absolutely get out there and
yeah.
see how they roll, man.
Yeah. No, part of the thing that I love to do is I love to travel and go. I usually meet up with one or two of my friends and we'll go over. I think one of the most memorable trips for me was showing up unannounced to Canada for their first event ever.
Nice.
And some of us have dubbed some of these shows, the original one that went on for 10 years, was called the C10 Club Get Together in Central California. It's up at C10 King, his house. They call it C10 Ranch. Okay, so for 10 years we went on that. And as social media got big, we started on a forum. More and more people showed up until we got 85 trucks in his backyard. I said, whoa, what do we do? So we had to move it, and then it took a little hiatus for a while, but jumping the border into Arizona, my good friend Dino Batalana went from the get-together to the get-down in Arizona.
Nice.
The one in Canada is the get-on-up.
Get on up. Well, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, because
You're
up in
Calgary,
Northern Brothers,
right?
yeah, so
You're up above the
Yeah.
United States. Well,
Yes.
congratulations for making the travel. So I mentioned SoCal Classic Car Storage. They're another one of our sponsors. And at SoCal Classic Car Storage, their facilities are in the lovely city of Laguna Hills. They offer private and secure white glove vehicle storage, dedicated members lounge. And in addition to storage, their expert sales staff offers consignment services for those that are looking to sell their cars. So for more information, visit them at Laguna Hills or at SoCalCarStorage.com or at Facebook.com/SoCal Car Storage. John, let's talk a little bit. We've talked a little bit about COVID-19 and the pandemic, which is on again, off again, back again. But how's that affected the clubs and the activities? Touch on that just for a minute. Have you guys navigated around that? Or are things picking back up?
I think in the very beginning, mid-March when we shut down a lot of things, it affected us big time and kept on it for a while until just recently, some cruises, what they call, social distance cruising,
Quarantine
cruise. Shout out
Yep.
to those guys. They did an amazing.
The one in Huntington Beach?
Yeah,
though?
absolutely. Yeah, they did an amazing
Jason
job.
went to that one last weekend.
I was there.
Were you there?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So we showed up with another community of the C10. It's a C10 community, so the C10 Club. But we met up with other clubs of C10s. Like I said, there's room
Nice.
for everyone. And so we met up with, I feel bad that if I leave a bunch out, but there was C10 Familia, C10 Compas, Fleet Siders, they call them. I think I mentioned C10 Compas, but
you did.
Okay, so just a bunch of these and others that came as well as what I call solo riders. They came in, and we probably hit between 200 and 250 C10s. They did a great job of putting it across the street from my house in Long Beach, El Dorado Park. So they, it's like, hey, can you? They reached out to me, said, hey, can you make it? Can you be part of it? Absolutely. Yeah. I think sometimes they're a little bit distanced because we've been around a while. They just, and they're still putting their foundation together, and so they reached out to me, which absolutely, because we have no problem with joining any other groups. Yeah. We'll support anyone. As long as it's a good cause and it's a good time, absolutely. So we met up there and we all cruised in from Long Beach down. We got on a little bit of the 605 and then down the 405, and that was amazing. So that quarantine cruise, getting back to that's what's, stuff like that if you can distance yourself and still stay 6 feet away, and obviously in your car and your truck. Hey, a short bed's 6 feet, so you're meeting that requirement.
Sure, yeah. Cars are naturally social distancing, even here at the warehouse. And for those of you that really need to know, we are socially distant in this interview. We're actually at least 8 feet away, so we're as safe as we can be. But what we've noticed with these cruises, quarantine cruises, whatever you want to call them, now some of these car shows are kicking back up. The South County, South OC, Carson Coffee is back on
Okay,
in
that's
San Clemente.
San Clemente.
And
That's
they had
the
over-
outlet store, right?
What's that?
That's at the one that's at the
At
outlet.
the outlet store, right?
Awesome.
So they had over 1,000 people last weekend.
Yeah, everybody's jonesing for
Yeah.
these.
And that's it.
Yeah.
There's pent-up demand. Now, where Jason lives in Huntington Beach, right? Donut Derelicts has been up and running
Derelicts, okay.
for 3 or 4 weeks.
I've made a couple, and it's really funny because I don't want to say I was really good, but I just didn't go to any events for a while.
Yep.
And then I said, I'm just going to roll to this one. Yesterday, Sunday for Father's Day, I did a turnaround. I went up to Turlock, California. So I put 600 miles on a C10. Met up with a couple of guys on Saturday morning. They came in from San Diego, so they beat me. I'm known for usually taking home the long distance award, and they beat me because they came out of San Diego. But very proud of them guys.
Turlock. Wow.
Yeah, so we went in. It's called the Spring Summer Swap Meet. So Turlock is their version of Pomona.
Is
Pomona
it
Swap
that
Meet.
big?
Yeah.
Wow.
So this was the first one. It'd been canceled. It was set for May. This usually happens every year around May, first week of May, but obviously spring and summer. Spring, fall, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's spring, fall swap meet. So they host the C10 Club. So we had 300 C10s there. Drove in and did my thing. I left at noon just in time to make it home for, to have my son take the brisket out of his Traeger. So
Nice.
yeah, so it was really good. But so that was the first official show really that I've made. Well, we did one just in February, but after that they shut us down. So
Well, you know what? Car shows for people are really like sports. I think one of the things that we missed, at least I know I did personally, when this pandemic started, was just something that resembled and felt like normalcy. For a lot of us are sports fanatics.
Yeah.
Whether it's football or baseball or basketball, it really doesn't matter. But when that was gone, I thought it was quite the shock to the system. And now I find myself watching any sport. Golf with no fans. Jay had soccer on the other day with no fans, and then they pipe the sound in. They've got a soundtrack now, and with
but
screaming.
it's not a
and
live
yelling.
soundtrack, right?
No,
it's just
no, it's not. It's recorded.
Wonder what game they were watching.
Yeah, it does, almost doesn't matter. So here we are in a time where we're just we're so ready to get some things back to normal, and I think for us car people, we need to get out and enjoy our cars and experience other people's cars. And so I think as these doors open up, the demand is going to be insatiable.
Yeah.
These shows are going to get
like
blown
you said,
up.
it's pented up. It's just people are ready to go.
Yeah. Well,
And hopefully everyone's been at home that weekend project that
Yeah,
they
what
said
do you
all I
think?
need is a couple of weekends to get this done.
do you think the cars are coming along faster now? Do you think the weekend
I'm
builds?
just hoping that all these guys that had all their parts already there, just ready to go, have now found the time to do it.
Now, we did learn that it's not quite that simple. We had the CEO of Factory 5, Dave Smith, on with us, and one of the things that he said is he had to shut down his operation. He's in Massachusetts, so he couldn't finish the builds. He had all these orders, and people were like, hey, I want to order something. Well, sorry, we can't finish your order, and we've got a backlog now. So hopefully they're back online, but their suppliers get affected too. So you could order parts that are temporarily unavailable to finish your build. I'm hopeful that not too many guys got stuck there in
Well, yeah,
the
and then
C10 world.
you get the other side of it where a lot of guys went on to get something mass produced. Oh, it's built in China, and now it's stuck on a freighter or not even being done at all. So,
Hadn't thought of that.
hey,
Yeah, it can happen.
maybe it's time to look, at the local guy that's made in the U.S. that might be
Right on.
a little bit more and a little bit better, and that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, man, oh, no, that's the right, this is the left. You got to back, something like that where, So,
Yeah, I think it's going to drive a lot of made in America type
I agree.
activities because we realized how fragile our lives are, and we realized how overly dependent we are on the rest of the world. Whether it's for our PPE, our personal protective
Absolutely,
equipment.
That's coming from the same place.
Yeah,
that,
remember
originates.
people couldn't get masks,
Yeah.
and you probably still can't get a Clorox wipe if you tried. But cars and car parts and all the other stuff. Maybe we're willing to pay a little more for our car goodies and get better quality in exchange for being able to control our own destiny.
Yeah.
I hope that maybe there's a good lesson learned with all this. You know what I mean?
I hope so too. And I think that even from the manufacturing standpoint, they'll see it and say, hey, they're willing to come to us. They're willing to, and this is what sells.
Yeah.
Let's build it for them and be competitive, because if not, somebody will take it and ship it overseas, and so that it kind of helps us on both sides.
Yeah, right. So one of the things that I'm really curious about for the C10 Club is what's next. I mean, you guys seem like you're in this explosive phase of growth, especially, like you said, online, and your goal is not to get in the way and to encourage everything and whatever's
I'm just here
organic.
To support, I'm at the bottom trying to help these guys up.
Yeah.
And, hey, listen, I've got these guys over here that want to, let them go. Hey, I want to do this product and what have you. So I'm just here to kind of support, because I've been around some of it. So I've got a little bit of the experience. But no, I love it. I tell my friends, sometimes I love to see my babies grow, because, it's just a great amount of people. And the more that you get other people that want to be part of it, it's, what's that one, build it and they will come.
Yep.
And that's exactly it with us.
So right now you're just in this growth phase. You expect that to continue to go, and
for a while,
Yep.
I think everyone will get into it, and then we'll probably go through the same growing pains that others clubs on. But
Get
I think
big
we'll
and-
be able to survive that, because, again, the no rules, no dues, no meetings to have to go to. I mean, we've, just by the design itself, we've designed it to, like, you don't, all the stuff that you don't want to be in a club for,
Right.
that's out. So
you guys are like the opposite of an HOA, which is great. Have you seen that HOA commercial on TV?
I haven't, but I
That's
know
a
what
great.
an
It's
HOA
an
is.
insurance one.
Yeah.
The lady that runs the HOA is going around antagonizing the new home buyer. Hey, this hanging pot is out of compliance.
Mm-hmm.
She chops that down. Hey, your mailbox is too high. She saws that off, and the new owners of the house, thank you. So you're the opposite, which is great, because people really just don't want any impediments to go out and have fun. And what we like is just the opportunity for people to enjoy. One of the things that's really cool around here is just organically letting it happen. People come pick up their cars. Next, they're sharing it with other people that are here to drop off or pick up a car at SoCal Classic Car Storage. And then next thing you know, the mechanics are coming from next door or from a neighboring business. And it's just totally organic. But I think that's what works best, is no rules, no barriers to people to enjoy and participate.
Yeah, we want to be approachable. We want to be, at the end of the day, you do build your truck for yourself, but someone's going to ask you, and you're going to take the compliments or what have you, the kudos, and say, hey, man, turn around and say, oh, thanks. And then, you realize that they may have it, or, with the truck, it seems everybody has some history with the truck somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, my dad used to have one in the back, or my grandpa. I learned to drive in a 6-speed, things like that.
Yeah.
So, it just keeps you, for us, it keeps us kind of grounded. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you do have the guys that have the $180,000 bills that, hey, props to you. Absolutely beautiful piece of art. But, you'll see that same guy cruise with the guy that's got something with the straight six.
Yeah. Well, we've got some investment grade Porsches here, and gentleman, buys only the best, low miles, really priceless cars, and he likes to get out and drive them.
Is that right?
And flog them. And if he doesn't do it, he'll send somebody that is a friend of his to go drive them. So we appreciate people that enjoy the cars regardless of their value. I think it's so important. Is there any big shows coming up for the C10 Club?
You know what? Almost sounds like a plug. But I am part of a C10 intervention, and we do that in Auburn, California.
Right.
That's going to be Labor Day weekend on that Sunday, September 6th, I believe that's what it is.
Okay.
And so it's our third annual. We were hoping to expand it to a town next to it in Woodland, because we had outgrown it. But when all this happened and just shut down, the entire state pretty much, we got the go-ahead, and, God willing, everything will be good. But we've already got the venue. We're already going for it. And we sold 450 tickets, registered tickets, in just over 24 hours.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations.
So there's some great shows
Woodland Hills.
that if you are in the C10, so if you're watching this and you say, well, what show should it hit? Obviously, my show, the C10 Intervention, hit that one up. Me along with Drop Lord, which is a brand, and then the chapter over there, if you will, is C10 Club Sacramento.
Right.
That guy, he's guy is able to go all the paperwork, good little pusher for us. But you've got that one, The Brothers, which was canceled this year, but I'm sure it'll be back.
Okay.
That's a show if you're in SoCal, that'll get 1,000 trucks.
Amazing.
If you're in Texas, and we've gone to this show, so these are shows that I will attend. You have to do C10s in the park. C10s in the park.
Wait a minute. I think where I gained some familiarity with that was on one of these TV shows.
It may have
Richard
been.
Rawlings. Did he go to that?
He did. He actually did.
I think he took a truck to that
yes,
one time.
and he just bought one of our friends' trucks. So we did this trip. Let me kind of go back. We're known for doing this trip in 73. I think Yellowstone's a 73 crew cab, long bed with a camper on top.
Nice.
And it was me and 3 firemen friends.
Sounds like the farm truck.
Exactly it. So yeah, and the C10 Club sticker is on the farm truck.
Is it really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
I placed it there myself. But so we're known to drive across town, and we'll 3-day trek. The guys will start up in Reno, San Francisco, pick up some guys in Fresno, pick me up in SoCal, drive to Phoenix, where the starting line starts, to a 17-hour trek to. That's actually the LST, but that's a good show. That's the only show we were able to squeeze in this year because it made it. After that,
you guys are the real deal. I'll tell you, I love guys driving their cars long distance, going to clubs, supporting other clubs. Is there a good way to get in touch with you or the C10 Club for those that aren't familiar with it? What are the best social media sites?
For me, it's going to be social media. It's going to be at C10 Club. If you look under there, there's probably 30 that fall under it, but they're all, for the most part, they're all little areas. Like you'll get Sacramento, you'll get C10 Club Arizona, Tucson,
Awesome.
New Mexico, Texas, and then now you've got Florida, Canada. But if you want to get in touch with me and you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer at C10 Club. I've also got c10club.com.
Great.
That's probably the best way.
Okay.
We'd love to have you come out. It's about the people. It really is. So, get in touch with us, whatever any questions.
Well, thank you, John Oro. That was great. Appreciate you joining us today and being our guest. That was a great ride. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today on the SoCal Car Scene Podcast. To find this episode or other episodes, please go to all of your favorite podcast platforms like Apple iTunes, Stitcher, Buzzsprout, Google Play, and at SoCal Classic Car Storage /media. And now, all our episodes are on YouTube on our SoCal Car Scene page, and you can see videos of our incredible guests like John today. Please listen, watch, subscribe, and follow. Big thank you. Appreciate it.